and the brain, bikini and the brain. One is a trainer, the other gets gains. They're podcasting hosts, their muscles they boast. Not dinky, bikini and the brain, 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 brain.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Bikini and the Brain.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us today.
And we're going to switch it up in this episode, and today I'm going to be the bikini and she's going to be the brain.
Yes, let's do it.
No, today we are going over, which is a really cool idea. I don't know what our podcast is about. It's a little bit of science, a little bit of fitness, a little bit of motivation. Mm-hmm. We're in so many directions.
Yeah, I mean...
We're either diverse or confused.
Yes, but I think, you know what, it's a great little variety we have here, and I think it was an idea of mine I had the other day to kind of pick some of the top motivational quotes or words of wisdom that we live by. Some of them maybe you've heard before. Some of them are just made up by us.
Yeah.
But, we all have like sayings and mottos that we always keep in the back of our mind when we're, trying to achieve certain things. So I thought it'd be great to share them with you guys, and maybe you can relate to a few of them, or maybe they'll help you out throughout the day.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things too, I want to get some feedback from you guys too, because we're building the new contest prep center, and right now we have a bunch of quotes on the wall, but we also have a bunch of pictures on the wall, graffiti pictures. Do you guys prefer more quotes? Because we can throw more quotes instead of pictures. Ashley has to be on the wall. There's no way she won't be on the wall. That's already planned. But the rest could be quotes. So you guys let me know what you like better too on that. I just thought about that. So let's go ahead and start off with one of yours, Ashley. Let's pick it up.
Sure.
Let's see it.
Okay, so one of my top mottos or quotes that I live by is, don't make excuses, make solutions. Because I can give you 100 excuses why I didn't train today, or I'm not here in Denver, Colorado, training with Adam, working hard, training hard, eating right. I have so many excuses I could have gave you, but I found a solution, okay?
Yeah.
And I think, it's kind of like a bad habit we all have. Well, not all of us, but most of us have. It's like a defense mechanism of why we can't achieve something. You're making excuses, and they start to build up and pile up. And with all this excuse making, you're not really thinking about a solution to the problem, because, ideal situations rarely exist. And most of the time you got to just find your way through them. So instead of complaining and telling everyone why you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, find a way to work around your problem.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And that's funny because that's it's not a quote I have, but something I always tell people that message me. I'll get a lot of messages and they're like, yeah, I want to start competing or start getting ready or just start getting in shape after this, my birthday party or my anniversary or my this or my that. And I'm like, hey, look, fitness is never going to be convenient. There's never going to be for you to be a top level, let's say bikini pro, we're talking about it. If your genetics are awesome, if your genetics are crazy good and you're a really hard worker, we're talking at least 16 months, 18 months of hard training to go from start to maybe the pro stage and maybe potentially doing well. We're talking you being absolutely perfect and being very, very gifted in that scenario. Most people, it's 3 years to really reach that upper level. And you're just not going to run into a period of 18 months in a row where something's not going to come up. So I always tell people, the only time to start really is now, because there's never going to be how much time you need in a row where there's nothing in the way. It's never going to be convenient. So if you're waiting and waiting, you're just going to keep waiting and waiting. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. And I'm sure as a coach, you've got to be so frustrated from maybe clients that, give you 5 excuses why they didn't work out this weekend, or they cheated on their diet twice, and because it was my friend's birthday party, or I was sad, or this and that, and it's kind of it's hard to call people out on excuses. And I think the repeat offenders, it becomes more obvious that, okay, this is just somebody that just keeps making excuses.
Yeah. There's people that, that's just the way it is. And no matter how good the coach is, you're going to run into it. I'm going to run into it. I run into it a lot less now than I used to when I was first starting. as you get more experience, I think you attract more serious people, but still, even I still get them, and it'll be people that like have great intentions of being this like superstar in fitness, and then they realize, hey, how hard it is on a daily basis. You have to be, so regimented on a daily basis for such a long period of time that some people just can't do it, so
Right.
it is frustrating, especially when the most frustrating part about it is really when you have someone who's got so much potential. That's when it really sucks.
Yeah.
If it's someone who's just trying to be fit, I don't really care that much. It's like, okay, they're not like in it to be the next top pro. They're just in it to better themselves, and if they want to have a bad day here and there, no big deal. That's okay. But don't tell me you want to be the next Ashley or whatever, and then not give me the next Ashley action. So like that's only when it becomes frustrating. And then when they're like, oh, this isn't just working, and I'm like, well, have you looked at your check-ins? You've been off on your diet 3 of the last 6, and they think, to them, they're like, oh, I'm 90% perfect, so I'm doing fine. I'm like, no, 90% doesn't equal 90% of the results. It equals like 50% of the results. So yeah, it gets a little frustrating with that stuff.
I think even in life, the most successful people, the top people that are really doing their dang thing, they're not making excuses. I'm sure Bill Gates isn't out there making excuses.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't feel like working today. So I couldn't get this done because I had to walk the dog, and it was just like a stressful day. He's making solutions.
Yeah, it's so funny. I hear it so many times. Like, I had to. I was at a wedding and I had to have the food. I had to have this. I'm like, no, there's never a situation where you have to have it. And I guess I'm like, so I'm not I don't ever like to put myself in the categories like one of those hardcore trainers, because I hate those guys that are like, you gotta suffer. And I'm like, this doesn't need to be that hard. Like, it needs to be regimented, but it doesn't need to be like impossibly hard where they're like, we wear like the suffering like a badge of honor, but it does need to be dedicated, So there are times where I am a little bit hardcore, because when I was younger, I was super hardcore. I actually didn't miss a day working out from, I think it was 13 to 22 years old, like not a single day. And so like, believe me, there was a lot of days in those years where I should have, one, you should always take rest days. Don't do that. That's stupid. I was crazy as a kid. But there's, obviously there was times where I should have, what was inconvenient, and I had to like make it work at like an 11 o'clock workout at 24 Hour Fitness, or like a 6 a.m. workout before my workday started. So like, there's always a way to do it. And actually, what's funny is that takeaway goes right into my next quote. Can I drop my next quote?
Yes, please. Because
it's like very similar. And it goes, it's funny, Ashley's are really like fluffy and motivating, and mine are like kind of more hardcore. And I'm like, I like looking at the difference between the two of them. I'm like, mine are, maybe I should lighten up a little. But this one is, it says, someone busier than you is working out right now. Which is kind of similar to yours.
They're probably at their desk typing with one of those pedaling machines that you put underneath the desk that you get on Amazon.
And 1 pound wrist sandbags. You know what, Ashley? Why don't I type with wrist sandbags all day long?
That would be a great idea. You could have some crazy forms.
Dude, or thumbs and fingers, my index finger flexing, Yeah. I got this stupid tattoo on my thumb. I should be flexing it more in pictures. So I think that's a really good one. Someone busier than you is working right now, because it kind of puts that, it's kind of similar to Ashley's and how we've kind of gone with it, but it's the same thing. Fitness will never be convenient. It's never going to be a perfect time to start fitness besides this moment. And especially, that's the other thing too, is that fitness isn't just about like being fit for a period of time where it's convenient. Fitness is about being fit for like the rest of your life, living healthier, living longer, and dealing with it in reality of like what's going to come up in your life. So I think the best time to start fitness is when you're running into difficulties of sticking to a schedule, because that's going to be a realistic thing that happens in your life that you need to learn how to overcome on a daily basis, especially if you're doing contest prep. Because if you're doing contest prep and you want to be like, let's say you want to be the next top pro, I don't think a lot of people understand what that really means. I think people underestimate that so much. Because I get a lot of girls who are like, oh, I want to be the next pro, I want to be the next whoever or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool, but let's see if your actions match that. And what I think people don't realize is this is a professional sport. Like, and I say it so much, but this is a professional sport where if you just do it right and you get to the top level, you can literally use it as your launching pad for your career for the rest of your life and be very well off in today's market, because you can be your own brand You don't need to work for a supplement company or whatever. You can launch your own thing because you have the platform to do it now. So when you think about that, there's like millions of dollars at stake when that happens. If you're like one of the top people, even if you're not one of the top people, but you're up there, there's like millions of dollars at stake. And then just like any professional sport, you know, like Floyd Mayweather or whatever, when he's boxing, he makes his $100 million a fight, whatever he makes. Like, he's not taking it easy anytime to do that because he's got this limited window of opportunity. Yeah. And I think that bikini athletes, I feel like sometimes they want to be like a Floyd Mayweather, Ashley Cutwasser type of top level person.
I mean, don't put me in the same sentence. Jeez,
well,
Adam.
Floyd Mayweather was a champion of the world, right?
I mean,
Ashley Cutwasser was a champion of the world, right?
I'm a speck on the bottom of his shoe.
It's a different public audience, but it's the same ranking.
Okay.
And, you know, but I guess by that ranking, the best beer pong guy would be the same world
champion. Thanks for hyping me up.
Yeah.
Thanks for hyping me up.
I mean, but the reality is you were the best of a sport, which is a pretty dense sport. You know, it's a pretty dense sport, and 3 times you were the best in the world. So the reality is that if you're really wanting that, you have to treat it like a professional sport. You know, you can't be like a hobbyist when you want those results. And it's like, I say it time and time again, but like, if you really want it, like it really does need to be all about that. You know, you really do need to live that. And it's not going to be a convenient thing because you're talking about being the best of the best. You're not just talking about being the best of the local Denver show with 150 people in it. You know what I mean? You're talking about the best of the best is like, that's different, you know? So I just think that I like to say this and get that out there because I have a lot of people who say they want it, but then they still treat their workouts like it's just a fitness hobby, you know? Mm-hmm. It's different. It's a totally different world. Perfection is required at that level. Mm-hmm. So it'll all show up on stage. When you have 20 girls who are being perfect every single day on their diet and you have one girl who's like, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to do whatever and go out with my friends this weekend or go on and just have my days off because I was at a wedding and I needed to eat this or I needed to do that. Like you're not going to get the same results as those girls who are being adamant about taking advantage of every single day.
Right.
Anyway, there's my tangent on that.
Yeah.
I guess I've run into it too much as a coach.
No, I totally. And I even see it, you know, even from my perspective. And, you know, I have those friends too that kind of, you know, maybe they talk the talk, don't walk the walk, you know, yeah. And they sounds like a good idea to them. They say they're committed and then they're going to join me on my race this weekend. And then, oh, what do you know? Yeah. Day of the race comes and there's a few excuses why they're not doing it. And if it was just one time, you know, okay, but it's repeat. And same thing, you know, they're not really working that hard. They don't want it. In theory, they want it, but they don't want to work.
Yeah,
so
you gotta want it more than the discomfort of the inconvenience,
yes.
and more than the discomfort of the discomfort. You know, so I'm gonna step in real quick with another one. I'm gonna piggyback this quote because they keep leading into the other one. So because of what Ashley just said, the other quote I had, and I'm not gonna go into this one, is work hard in silence. Let success be your noise.
Yes.
Because that's what Ashley just said. Walk the walk. You know, you gotta walk the walk. That's how I am too. I don't want to hear. I know this is crazy to say as like a coach, especially like me being, I understand what I look like to the public. I'm the coach who's like fun and like cheerful and like positive and motivating.
Everyone wants to be a friend.
You know? And it's like, I get my public persona because that's really, in reality, that's how I am. Mm-hmm. But I'm also kind of like, when it comes to this stuff, kind of a little bit of an SOB because I'm old school and I'm like done with the excuses, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they should expect, you know, to be on their A game if they train with you. And I know even when I'm here, I always say I never want to waste your time. So when I'm here, I'm working hard. Like I don't want our training to go to waste. I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we just came through a crazy pump. We call it a podcast pump.
Podcast pump.
But the work hard in silence thing is that, you know, I don't want to hear about how motivated you are. I don't want to hear it because it's sometimes people are telling me they're motivated and it's almost like they're trying to convince themselves.
Yeah.
Like if you're truly motivated, like I was motivated from 13 to 22. I wasn't talking about, oh, I'm so motivated, I'm going to go to the gym today. It was like, no, today's a day and I'm going to go to the gym today because today's a day simply and I have to do that. That's just life. Like, you know what I mean? It's like breathing. You know, that's when you reach that level of motivation where there's no one that can like derail it, you know? But when you're waking up every morning and you're like telling yourself you're motivating, like you still have some work to do mentally to like get to that stage where this is just life and this is just how you live. And once you reach that level, this is how you live, like the whole world is going to change for you in terms of what's going to be accessible to you in fitness because now you're living it and now you're doing it and now you're excelling faster than you ever did before, and it's not forced. And it's like how we talked about in one of our, probably our last podcast, if I put this out right, is if you find what you love to do, you never work a day in your life. That applies to fitness too. You know, it applies to you being and competing and whatnot. So if you're forcing yourself, and you've been forcing yourself for years, and you got to find that joy again, or maybe this isn't your thing like you think it is, and maybe you should just be a hobbyist, because you're not going to excel until you find that love, you know?
Yes.
So anyway, that's some hardcore Adam for you. Now, Ashley, it's your turn.
Okay.
What do we got?
So, yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page. My next quote for you guys is 365 days, 365 opportunities, which kind of blends into what you just said. You know, every day is an opportunity to better yourself. It's not to say you're going to be where you want to be today or tomorrow, but every day you can take that day and work a little bit harder to get to that ultimate goal. Don't let a day go to waste, because as you mentioned, somebody out there is working harder than you.
Yep.
And, you know, I do have days every once in a while where I kind of feel less productive. And at the end of the day, it's not really satisfying for me. Like, some people like those kind of days, and maybe I enjoy one once in a while. But if they happen too frequently, like 2 unproductive days in a row where I don't find enough things to do, I feel kind of crappy. I feel like, well, what did I really accomplish today?
Yeah.
I could have done a lot more. So that's something I always try to keep in the back of my mind. Is there something I can do today to get ahead and accomplish today that's going to get me a little bit closer to where I want to be?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes to do with, like I always talk about like day capturing, you know? And I always think of like every day, it's weird how I think of it for athletes and stuff too. And what's funny is that like, it's weird that I take this approach to coaching, but I take it to coaching too. Like every day I do a little more research. Every day I do a little more whatever studying and try harder with the team and like my own thing. I know that I'm getting ahead of another coach too. And I think that's the same thing for athletes. Like I compete through athletes, and so for me it's like super competitive for my people to win, because I feel like I'm competing with my brain against other coaches. And so it's, for me it's like I want to win selfishly, even though I want you to win for you, but I want to win for me too, which is I guess it's a good and a bad thing. But what in terms of like day capturing, what I think of is, okay, if I'm not going to slack a single day as a coach, and there's coaches that are going to slack every Sunday, like right now it's Sunday and me and Ashley just worked out, I'm going to do a bunch of emails, I'm going to actually rearrange one of the offices here. It doesn't matter if it's Sunday, it's like, it's fine, it's just a day, take advantage of it. I know that if I'm going to put together more days than, let's say 10% more than the other coaches out there, well then I gained 36 days in that year, and that means I gained a full month on them of growth. Mentally, physically, you know, research-wise, business-wise, whatever it is, and I'm gaining days on them. And that's where when you start accumulating days, and in 10-year period, I'll gain a year on every coach that's doing the same thing I am, just because I'm working 10% harder. You know, what about the coaches I'm working 20% harder than, you know? Right. And it's the same thing for bikini athletes or physique athletes, whatever you are. You can if there's someone who beat you at the last show and they're slacking, you know, 1 day, 2 days a week, their whole off season sucks, whatever, and you take advantage of every day, the next time you beat them and you don't even see them anymore in your rear view mirror, you're just getting so much past them, and they're like, how did that girl pass me? How did that guy pass me? Well, you didn't lose a day. You captured and took advantage of every single day. And it's just, all fitness is an accumulation of many good days in a row. That's all fitness is. I always tell people that all fitness is just accumulating many days in a row of doing fitness-based things. That's it. And if you add them all together, the end result is going to be you being more fit than everyone around you, because you did it more than them in a row. So there you go.
Heck yeah, I haven't messed this up.
What's up?
What's your next quote you live by?
My next quote, okay, so I did realize mine are a little harder core than actually.
Good. Yeah, you need a good little mix.
You know. So this one's actually, I have 2 quotes in here that are mine. This one is one that I've said since I was 18 years old as a trainer, which is like young Adam, which is funny because it's still relevant. But I would come in, when people would come into their sessions, back then I was just like training personal training sessions only. And I would be like, we're friends, but when you're in here, I don't want anything but your everything. Like, I don't want anything but your everything.
This one makes me giggle a little bit, because I swear it could be like an 80s love ballad. Like, I could just picture like a hairband with an electric guitar doing that love ballad.
It does apply to like a love song too, right?
But
like
it does sound very 80s love ballad.
right. Well, it was 2000 when I started training, so I wasn't 80s kids.
Let's make our own.
Let's make like a bright green and bright pink shirt, like lime greens and stuff, and wear it. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
And what about maybe our theme song? We messed up on our theme song. Should have been that. But that's that I guess that goes kind of into like progressive overload, right? Where you're working out and you're trying to get more than the last time and trying to do a little better than the last time. I just want, when people come in, I want them to take advantage of their workout, and it really just comes down to your workout. I don't want anything in here but your everything in here, and because that's the only way you're going to get results. So I always tell people, bodybuilding is very simple. You create a stimulus, and then you adapt to that stimulus, and everywhere in between that is where you're making progress. And as soon as you reach that adaptation, your body is basically stopped on making the progress, right? So we're just trying to keep that window of stimulus to adaptation open as long as we can, and that requires you giving your everything in the gym. If you go in the gym and you do 10 pounds 10 times for 10 years, nothing's going to happen past that first year where your body adapted that 10 pounds 10 times. So it's creating that stimulus through exercise or through stress or through whatever of exercise that you're going to make the results. So it's you doing 11 pounds 10 times, or you doing 10 pounds 11 times the next time you're in the gym, which is going to make that progress. So it's about, if you're doing the same thing and being super comfortable, you're not going to get the results. So that's why I say that. I don't want anything but your everything, and the gym will tell me the truth of what's going to happen. Your face, your body will tell me the truth. I don't want to go to failure because of a rep range. I want to go to failure because your body says stop or I'm going to break. That's what I want when I see you in the gym. And I see people, what's really funny too is I don't train that many sessions anymore. But I will have people fly in that want to do like a session and stuff, and they'll do this like full day of testing. They'll do it's a crazy day. It's like when people do that, it's like a 6-7 hour day. I only do like 2 of them a month because it's so like taxing on everyone. It's like 6 people are involved. It's crazy. Anyway, they come in and they talk like, I'll have some girl come in from like whatever, Colombia or something, and they'll talk like they're crushing it in the gym and whatever, and I'm like, all right, let's just come in and we'll do your test, we'll see your posing, we'll do all this stuff. And then they come in and they don't last with me more than like 30 minutes. And I'm like, what are you doing out there where you can't even last with me? Like at 20 minutes you're about to break. Wow. Like what's going on out there? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I get it. I'm giving you my all because this is a special trip that you're making. But it shouldn't be like this. Right. You know what I mean? And so and then they leave with the real like realization is, man, I have a lot to go in terms of my growth of intensity in the gym. So that is another one. I don't want anything but your everything, and I want to really figure out what is your everything. Like what is it? Because you might surprise yourself. Yeah. So anyway,
that was Adam Bonilla with "I Don't Want Anything But Your Everything." Thank you.
I need a hairband and high socks.
I hope you still have that wig, the Afro wig.
I still have the wig.
Okay. You need it one day for the song when you come out with this love ballad.
Yeah.
I think the next quote, I said it a lot. I think it was in 2018. It was like,
ooh, is this yours?
Words. I mean, I said it a lot. I didn't like create it.
It's pretty much yours though.
But I've been saying it a lot.
Yeah.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Does it hurt? Well, good. Unless it's an injury. Like, I love the feeling of a good workout where I'm sore, where I've been pushed to limits. I feel so accomplished. But I think this can also apply to things other than just working out. Even like, let's say you are not the best at public speaking and you kind of have anxiety when you know you're about to get in front of a crowd and it's super uncomfortable. Well, get comfortable with that feeling, because slowly but surely it's going to become easier and easier, and it's going to be a breeze, and it's going to be no big deal. Same thing with that feeling of pushing yourself in the gym. I think a lot of people quit way too easy because they're just like, oh, it's uncomfortable, I'm tired, oh, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Well, good. Good. You're going to get some gains from this, some growth, or some fat loss, maybe, we'll see. But it can apply to so many things. Yeah.
I think that's a really good one to go into too, is because like the uncomfortable ness of the gym is, I think we need to like discuss why it's uncomfortable, and a lot of it is, so the body has like these ways of making you stop doing something, getting you to stop doing something. So it can keep itself safe, So it's like there's these mechanisms in your body that'll like go off that basically are trying to keep you safe. So when you're working, so first off, the body doesn't want to be lean, have no fat, and then be very muscular. That's counterintuitive to what the body wants, because the body just wants to keep you alive. That's all it wants to do. It's just an organism.
Cute.
It's just an organism trying to keep you alive.
Myself. I love myself. That's adorable.
It is. And when you think about it,
thoughtful.
what's so funny, because I get like into it, I always like, because me and Anya have an age gap, right? And then she'll ask like, how old are you or whatever, or like someone will ask it. I'll always say the answer is 4.51 billion years old, because we're all from the same original like living organisms that like are just regenerated over time, right? So I'm like, we're all just like original like organisms regenerated over time through different shapes and forms, right? So like
that's pretty deep.
We're all 4.51 billion years old. Right? So I'm in the super masters class, but when it comes to like the body like trying to survive, okay, so you got to understand it's counterintuitive to what you want to do, what your body wants to do. It wants to just live and have a lot of energy, so it wants to have fat, so it can have a lot of energy and survive in case it goes through famine. Now we haven't evolved to the point where that's not a possibility anymore to the body's eyes, right? It doesn't know that, like, well, if you're in America listening to this, the United States, like, it doesn't know that we can just get food all the time. It doesn't know that we have water everywhere available. It hasn't evolved to the point where that's like a normal thing. So it still wants to hold on to energy so we can use it for later. So we can use it to track down our food and hunt our food for 3 days before we catch it, type of thing. But so it doesn't, like, having that much muscle burns a ton of calories. So it makes you very inefficient at surviving if you have a lot of muscle, because it burns a lot of calories. And then having no fat puts you susceptible at dying because you don't have enough energy reserved. So what we're trying to accomplish is completely counterintuitive to what the body wants to do and is what's designed to do. What the body wants to do is be as fat as it can be and have as low as muscle as it can be. That way it can survive for very long periods of time. So without any like external energy sources. Now, when you're working out in the gym and you're going through this burn, like, the body is trying to tell you, hey, stop. It's building up lactic acid. It's doing all these things. Your blood's pumping in the muscle. Everything's just on fire. And you're like, oh, this is painful, which you associate it with pain. And you're like, okay, I got to stop because this is painful. Everything inside of you and your brain is saying, stop lifting this weight, because the body's telling you, stop lifting this weight or you're going to hurt yourself, which at a certain point you would. Obviously, if you just kept going, you eventually would hurt yourself. But just because it burns, it doesn't mean that the muscle is failing yet, and that's where I think the problem is. What you're saying, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, is basically saying, how I perceive it in this way is, hey, like, your muscles aren't failing just because it burns. There's a point where it will fail, but when it really fails, it's past that point of the burn. Obviously, the burn keeps accumulating more and more and more, and that's what happens. The lactic acid's building up more and more and more. And it's getting more intense and more intense because the body's building it up, trying to tell you, stop lifting this or you're going to hurt yourself. But that doesn't mean the muscle's done yet. So you got to get to the point of being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the muscle, to grow, it needs a stimulus greater than it had before. So I love that saying, because it, like, there's a deeper part to it, right?
And it can apply to so many things.
Yeah.
Even outside the gym. It's just like, people just give up way too easy, I think.
Yeah. How did that go into, like, organisms in, like, 4.5? How did that even start?
I'm not sure. But
I don't know
I enjoy the
funny?
extra info. Yes.
Isn't that crazy? That's so funny. I don't know where that came from, but I've been saying it for a while. Once in a while, something slips in. I'm like, why did I even say it? You guys get to hear the real Adam on the podcast, because it's so long you can't contain, like, your thoughts. Like, it's so funny. Like, those long. You ever done those interviews where, like, I'm sure you've done them, because I've done a few interviews where, like, it goes on for a while and then you're like, wait a minute, what did I say? Because
how did it connect?
Yeah, did I say too much because it was going on for like an hour and I just kind of started just losing, like, my filter type of thing? It's so funny.
No one's complaining you're talking too much, so you're fine.
All right. So, Grandma Ashley. 4.5 what is your next one? Throw us with some heat, baby.
It's your turn.
Was it my heat?
Yes.
Oh, it's my turn? Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll throw you with some heat. Okay. Oh, this one's another one. Gosh, I feel like I'm way too hardcore for this.
No.
All right. We can... This one is, you can have results or excuses, not both.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, that's on the wall. Yeah.
That's pretty.
Do you remember Erica? Erica, you met her in Venice Beach one time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's her quote. Actually, she put that one on the wall, which is cool. Or she gave me that quote to put on the wall. But I thought it was really cool because it's like hardcore, you know. I really liked that one. Mm-hmm. And we kind of covered it already, what that is. But that's just a good quote. You can have results or excuses, not both. Mm-hmm. Obviously, went into that already, kind of. So
this next one, kind of, we went into already too, because we share the same brain, identically. Little do you know, I'm just as smart as Adam. Clearly, that's a joke. But anyway, the next quote I have is, sometimes later becomes never. Do it now. So kind of just what we touched upon, you know, wait for this perfect timing, for this perfect, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start whenever, you know, things are easier at work, or I'll start after the holidays.
Yeah.
Like, no. F that. Start now. Go grocery shopping. Start your diet tomorrow. At least get something started. Stop procrastinating. I hate procrastinators. I hate it. That's like a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Like, don't do tomorrow what you can do today. Just get it done.
Yeah. There's one. There's one that said it was a meme I actually put out. I didn't make it up, but I put it out on with my own thing. And it said, you said tomorrow yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's
or even tomorrow never comes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really good one. So sometimes later becomes never. And I think that, you know what I want to go into, which I think is going to be a good lesson for people that don't understand, not just this, but the whole procrastination thing and what it actually does and how far it actually sets you back. I don't think people get that. This is what happens when I get check-ins a lot too. I'll get a check-in, and someone will say, I had a bad week, I was wherever, or I just had a bad week because I just, whatever, had a bad week. And sometimes there's just no reason. They just had a bad week, period, because they couldn't stick to the diet. And then they gain, 2 pounds, right? It's not crazy. It's nothing too tragic. It's 2 pounds, right? What they don't realize is this. So you have a week, you gain 2 pounds. So you lose that week of progress. Then the next week, you're trying to lose the 2 pounds that you gained. So you lose that week of progress just trying to get back to where you were. Most likely, you'll still need another week to lose the remaining, because if you're a female at 130 pounds, whatever, you're going to need probably 1.5 to 2 weeks to get off 2 pounds. So now you have the week that you lost, you have 2 weeks just trying to get back to where you were, and then you have 3 more weeks of being in this caloric deficit where your body's adapting metabolically to you being on lower calories for a longer period of time than it was required. So then in the end of things, you might be losing, 4 or 5 weeks when you count into play the adaptation and whatnot too. So you're 1 week where you had kind of a bad week, or you had your one really bad day that turned into a bad week. It isn't just a bad day. You essentially almost lose a month of progress every single time you have a bad week. Mm-hmm. People don't think about that. They just think, I had a bad week, but next week will be fine. No, next week you're going to lose the weight that you gained, and then half the week the following week you're going to lose the weight that you gained still, just to get back to where you were when you started. And now metabolically you're a little more adapted, so it's not working as fast as it was before, because you just dieted harder just to get the weight you just gained off, and now you're down a month. And then at the end of the month you're like, why isn't it working? Well, dumbass, do you remember that day you went nuts? That's why it's not working, and that's why you're not excelling and getting to the pro level. That's the reason. And so you're getting a little bit of the hardcore Adam today, but people need to hear this stuff,
I love how your hardcore isn't really that hardcore.
I know, I feel bad.
No, it's good. No one's crying on the other side. That's a great point, and it's so easy to forget that it is so much easier to put on fat than to lose it. My goodness. If you look at it like this, how much cardio would I have to do for that 4 tablespoons of extra peanut butter I had? It's when you think about it and you do the math,
crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy. And something is a good idea too that I've learned to do is let's say you have a favorite dressing, and it can even be a low calorie dressing. I like to do the math. I'll take, how many servings are in this bottle times the calories, what's the total? And it equals maybe 500 calories. Post-it note, put it on that dressing, so you're aware that if you're going through that thing in a week,
that's crazy.
That's 500 extra calories.
That's smart.
But it's something we're not really thinking of. But to have that Post-it note on there to remind you, oh, okay, maybe I should be a little more sparing with that. You know, it's like, I think that's a good reminder. And same thing with the peanut butter too. Like, put the total calories on that peanut butter, and see when you open it, you're like, oh, okay, well.
Actually really smart.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. That's cool.
If you want to go the extra mile, you can actually put how much cardio you would have to do to equal that peanut butter.
You know what? Why don't, that needs to be a thing. That needs to be like, I mean, I guess, there's going to be like food, like psychology people are going to be like, that's terrible, but.
Or if
you know
somebody
what?
being super nitpicky, like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, technically, you can't prove that it's.
Yeah, I hate those people. But this is like, when we're talking about, you got to remember, we're doing this for sport, guys. We're not like doing this for like, rainbows and puppy dog tails. We're doing this to win excessively. Like, we're trying to look like Greek gods and goddesses. This is not for the comfortable. This is not for your registered dietitian who's like trying to be healthy and macro based dieting. And this is like hardcore. These are people that a lot of our people listening to this want to be the next big thing, or at least push their physique to being the next big thing, where maybe they're going to have this crazy social media or whatever. So it's a little different mindset wise, guys. So just don't beat us up on.
Yeah,
but I do,
you have to be in the right
yeah.
mindset for this. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, but based on what we do, I really like that. That's
gonna be a YouTube video. It's gonna be called Food for Thought.
Ooh,
Yeah,
dude, you're throwing fire! Throwing fire!
Somebody get a fire extinguisher in here. Somebody call 911. I'm throwing fire,
Dude,
son.
I'm glad we have this recorded because this is a great idea. This is really good, actually. You are. See, I told you guys today. I'm the bikini. She's the brain. Wait till you see my posing suit.
Yeah, it's better than mine.
Call up ACB right now. Get me something made of gems.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
Is it
Who's
my
up?
turn? Oh, my turn. Okay. My last one is don't live a life full of woulda, coulda, shouldas, because that is the worst feeling. Like, even on a smaller scale, to, like, let's say you're competing at a show and you could have done better. If you would have tried harder, you should have tried harder. It's kind of woulda, coulda, shoulda. What if I tried harder? I would have done better. I should have tried harder. I should have done this better. Should have done that. Because regret is a horrible, horrible thing to like feel. I hate that feeling of regret. Like, should have just pushed it more. Should have just did this or that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one. I think that there's here as a coach, this is what I want. If Ashley walks off stage and she gets dead last place, I actually don't care. I really don't. If she left everything in the gym and left everything on the plate, I guess is what you'd say. In our scenario, literally leaving it on the plate, like, and in her cardio, and she gets last place, I don't care. I would be more proud of her if she got last place, but she actually did everything right, and she left it all on the table. But in the opposite end of it, if Ashley were to win, and give like a half-assed effort, I wouldn't be that proud of it. I'd be like, well,
like shocked, like, oh well, okay, well,
guess she won.
Not do that again, but
yeah, I would almost more be like, I wish she didn't win, because that teaches her a lesson that she can get away with that, and now the rest of her performance are going to be half-assed,
Yeah.
And so like, it just wouldn't be like proud of it, like getting. When, like, for example, like when the mile high, like when we won that first mile high, like that was so emotional for like both of us, like because so much went into that, and we just didn't know how good you were going to be when you came back, and like we pushed it too far, kind of thing, and we're like, it's so much went into that, that whole year, every win was like, it was just so meaningful because of what we went through to get there. Yes. And so giving your everything, like just to know that you did it, whether you placed first or last. Just know that you gave your all, and then whatever happens. Then you can walk away pretty good. Like, there's no worse feeling than you getting second place or third place and knowing that you could have given more. Because that's really when you walk off stage in second place and third place, like, and you know that you had like these days, and you're like, oh, I should have done my cardio that night, or I shouldn't have hung out with those whatever people that day because I ate a whole bunch of this or whatever. Like, if you can walk off the stage and say those things, and then you lost by like 2 points, that will bug you. Like, if you're like me, I guess, if you're like that intense about this, that will bug you for like years, really, until you get your win. it'll bug you. Like, and if it's a big show, like let's say it's like USA's or Nationals or something like that, and you're trying to get your pro card and you get top 5, but you know you're doing your 16-week prep, you had like 3 suspect weeks, you're like, man, a few points separated me from glory.
Yeah.
And like that was 100% my fault. Like, not that girl was necessarily better than me or more genetically gifted. It's just that I just had those weeks, and that gave her the edge where she captured the day on top of me, and that's your fault, you know? So yeah, I think that's a cool one.
Yes.
So,
You have any more for us?
I have my last one.
Okay.
This is a sign of a more softer one. I'm going to go back to podcast personality, Teddy Bear Adam.
He never was as hardcore as you keep saying to everyone.
Okay, good.
Like, when I say hardcore, I figure like, you're not special, F you, or something.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a soft, what's funny is that when I grew up, I used to be such a like hard guy, you know, from like life. I was just like hardened by life. And even Marie was like, you're too tough. Like when I was younger, I was just so hardened. And now I'm like older and I'm like sensitive and I'm like more in touch with my feelings. And
You've never yelled at me. So that's good.
So to me, now this is hardcore. To like old Adam growing up, I've been like, I would make fun of myself back then. That's so funny. I guess that's funny that like you just grow in life, right? But I'm much happier now being like softer. And I don't even care if people make fun of me. I'll cry during Notebook. I love that shit. I can't even watch that movie. I can't even watch it. There's just no point. I'm just going to like cry. So it's so bad with movies. All right. So all right. This one's cool. All right. It goes, you have to do this for yourself, but you don't have to do this by yourself.
Ooh, I love it.
You know? Yeah. And I think that goes into 2 parts. One, you know, I'm about like team and community. And I think that's really been I've been really, really lucky with the type of team and community that, I guess, I don't know. I guess given is the right word, but like, I guess earned 3 years of like putting it out there. But our team is so like, they're just all like, a lot of them are friends, you know, and it's really cool that environment's been created. And it's like, even people who aren't in Denver, you know, obviously in Denver we have the prep center so people see each other physically, but you'll see like all these girls and guys that like make friends with all these people from different states too, because of like just being on the team and like posting, and I'll repost them and they'll become friends, and then they're like hanging out with them at these shows. Like when I go to the Arnold, all of our girls from different states will be like friends, you know? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you knew her. They're like, oh yeah, we've been talking since you reposted her like 6 months ago, and now they're friends. They're flying into Denver, staying at each other's houses or whatever, and like it just becomes this like family thing. And it's such a lonely sport. It's such a hard sport that like, one, there's no way you're ever going to get through this if you don't do it for yourself. If you're trying to do it for some external reason or external person, it's just not going to happen, because you just don't want it bad enough. You know, it's just like, it's too hard to do it for someone else. It's too hard to do it because you want to look good for your boyfriend alone. Like, it's just, you have to want it, you know? So you have to do this for yourself if you want to be successful. Like, it has to be your driving thing. But you having a support system, it's a big part of it. You know, it's definitely helps keep you accountable, you know, especially when you get friends in the industry, when you have like a team behind you, you know? And so, I don't know, I just really like it because when I was younger, I was like a lone wolf, you know, and I was always like super isolated. All I did was work, and I didn't like invite anyone into my circle. And now that I have like more people in my circle, like everything's so much better, you know, everything's so much just more like accessible and fun, and it's just great, you know? So I don't know. I think that you know, when we say that saying is like, you're the sum of the 5 people you're closest to. I guess that's a freebie on the quotes today.
Extra credit.
Extra credit one. But I think that's the same thing with this sport, is like who you hang around with is going to dictate a lot of your progress too. So like if you hang out with a bunch of guys who are doing drugs and doing whatever thug stuff, you're going to probably end up
thug stuff.
You're going to probably end up in the same scenarios that they are, you know? But if you're hanging around a bunch of fitness people who are all competing and they're all into it just like you are, and they breathe it, well, you're going to probably end up at a higher level of fitness than you do. The same thing applies if all your friends are going out drinking and being like, oh, you could just take one, you could just have one shot, you could have this, friends. You know, like they
won't take no for an answer.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like you're going to probably end up not being as good as you could be in fitness, you know. And the same thing with like, and I take that very seriously in terms of like my success is the people I surround myself with. They have to be like just as driven. I got to be able to learn from them just as much as they can learn from me. So it's like a worthwhile like relationship for me to invest time into. So
Right.
anyway, I guess I sometimes go off on different areas.
Oh, that
but
was a good one.
yeah. So anyway, what do you have? Anything on that?
That was it for you guys
Yeah.
today.
That was a fun one. That was a good idea.
Was a good one. Yeah, I like it. Maybe we'll do a part 2 if it goes well.
You know what?
If you guys like it, let us know. We'll do a part 2.
I think we should do this. I think if you guys like this one, you tell us and you send us, like, leave it in the comments of what your favorite quote is, and then we're gonna pick the
their
good ones,
favorites.
and then we can
Okay.
go into that
Okay.
of why it's important. You know, I think that'd be really cool. And if you want to include why it's an important quote to you, because we can make this like an audience-based one. Because actually, I really liked this one. I like our Q&As.
Yeah.
But this one, I think I like even more than the Q&As, like, because it's really cool to like dive into it and kind of go into the mindset of things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, help us out with that one. Send us. You could DM it to us, but if you leave it in the comments, it's a little better because everyone can see it that way, and maybe they can get inspired from it. And we'll pick the next. I think we did 10 each or 10 total, so maybe we can pick that many again. Yeah, that was fun.
Heck yes. I hope you guys liked it today, and make sure you stay tuned next week for another episode of Bikini and the Brain. And don't forget, if you like this podcast, give it that good old 5 stars. Show us some love.
Yeah, we thirsty for them stars these days.
We're thirsty for stars. I have to admit, I'm thirsty for stars.
We're thirsty. So thanks guys so much. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.